Welcome to the Brett Davis Podcast.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Brett Davis Show today. Of course, I have somebody that we've been hearing about around Coronado and around San Diego, Michael Ian Cohen, who is the producer and the director of Humanity's Stoked.
Thank you for having me. Yeah, great to be here.
All the way from the East Coast.
All the way from New York. Yeah.
Very nice.
I'm grateful for the opportunity to be here and talk to you a little bit about the film and hopefully generate some interest and get some people to come see it on Sunday, November 12th. It's going to be a really special event.
Well, it sounds like you've been touring for a while. You've been at how many film festivals in the last year?
Right. So we've made the official selection of this is our 41st film festival in 16 countries. I haven't personally been able to attend all of them, but I have traveled the world as far north as Finland and as far south as Cape Town, South Africa, visiting many of these festivals. And it's a really special, it's a special experience to be able to screen your film to a live audience. And then even more so than that, have a Q&A where you can get to engage with people and listen to how the film may have resonated with them and answer any questions they have and use that as a springboard to have a dialogue about a lot of the important subjects that the film covers. So yeah, so it's been wonderful. And this is great. Coronado Island Film Festival is our final festival. So we're going out with a spectacular bang.
You are
at a wonderful festival. Yeah, everyone's been great, including now you and your team.
Well, the interview's not over yet.
I feel confident in giving you the praise in advance.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Sure.
So this is your first film.
Yes, that is true. Yeah.
Now tell me, what did you do before filmmaking?
So I was a small business owner in a non-creative field, involved in magnetics at a small business that made magnets for a couple of industries, and another business that made software for emergency services like fire departments. They had nothing to do with filmmaking. I've never met a filmmaker, but prior to conceiving and starting this film, I had never met a filmmaker. I had never met a pro skater. I had never read a book on filmmaking. This is literally a story of just a nobody from nowhere that at 50 years old decided they want to become a filmmaker and a humanitarian, and start from scratch without any contacts or without any funding. So the fact that the film turned into this beautiful monster that it turned into, this giant piece of art, if you will, that's resonating so deeply with people, is beyond my wildest expectations, beyond my wildest optimistic fantasy of what could actually happen. So I've been living in a fantasy world. That's where I am right now. You may call this your studio, and this is a fantasy world where I'm living in. So I'm very, very grateful for this.
So how did this film come about? How did it come to you?
So I was one of those people that was fortunate enough to know what they wanted to do when they were 13 and 14 years old. I wanted to be a filmmaker. I saw films as a kid, and they resonated so deeply with me. I was fascinated with the art form, and I also wanted to be a humanitarian. I didn't know what that word was at 13. I had things about my childhood that were unpleasant or unfair, and I wanted to really make the world a better place. As grand as that may seem like something for a kid to want to do, I didn't have any aspirations of actually doing it. But I just thought, it would be great if I could, but I led a rather fear-based life that kept me in this very safe place. I thought, I'll go to film school, when I'm 20 or when I'm 25, or I'll go on an audition to act when I'm 30, and this and that. And a day turned into a week, which turned into a year, which turned into a decade, until it turned into a guy that was turning 50. And I ended up sliding into like a really, really bad depression, like just clinically depressed, crying every day. It was awful. And I was filled with this realization that I would be, if I'm lucky enough, on my deathbed at 90, and have this regret, not for not having become a filmmaker, or not for having started a children's foundation or any of these things, but the shame of being afraid to even try, to even give myself a chance. And I couldn't kill myself. I had kids, and I would never want to transfer all of my pain onto people I leave behind. And I said, well, if I can't die, I'm going to have to live. And I came out of that depression after about a year and a half. And I just said, I'm not going to let fear uh, guide my hand anymore. I'm not going to let it affect my perspective anymore. And if there's something that I wanted to do and was afraid to do it, I'm just going to do it. And so, one perspective is that, hey, that took a lot of courage. But another perspective is that if you just stop caring about the uncertainty, not just the failure, but the uncertainty, if you stop caring about what people think of you, you will find, as I did, that it really doesn't take a tremendous amount of courage to move forward. It only takes courage to move forward through these fears that you have. But if you just stop caring about all of these things, it's liberating. The walls around you just kind of crumble. And as I say in the film, actually, it wasn't as if I could suddenly get through doors that were locked. I said that I could suddenly see doors that I didn't even know existed,
Wow.
and that this whole world opened up. And the proof of that is this film. This is a cast of 70 of like the world's most iconic people, and from the worlds of pro skating and art and science and music and education. And it's a massive film, and someone made it without any money and without any experience, and you can't do that unless you believe in yourself. And of course, as you learn also with the help of a lot of support from a lot of wonderful, talented people that believe in you. But it has to start with you believing in yourself.
So how did this topic come up? Because I'm sure you're very knowledgeable in a lot of areas. Where did you have any skateboard background? Where does this idea come from?
Yeah, all I really had, this thing combined like my 3 lifelong loves. I'm a lifelong skateboarder.
Okay.
I've been skating now 50 years. Next year will be 50 years. I started skating at 7 or 8 years old in New York, and, I had a love of film and the whole art of storytelling, and I had a love of volunteerism and just trying to do my part to make the world a better place. And, I combined them. And so I said, if I'm gonna make a film, I needed it to be about something that I cared about, issues that were important for humanity, because I knew without money and experience, I was gonna have to work like you have to work like an animal no matter what. But for this would have to be a passion project. So I needed to make sure it was is something that was really important. But what the film is about changed during the first episode of filming, which was in Cuba, where I started filming it. Something happened, a tragedy, if you will, and that's in the narrative of the film, and it changed what the film was about. Originally, the film was going to be about these skateboard-related charities, people around the world doing kind of good work and trying to make the world a better place, and somehow involved with skateboarding. And I went to go film the first one in Cuba in 2018. This charity called Amigo Skate that helps support the kids of Cuba with skating supplies and art and music. And something happened around that production in Cuba that made me realize that the film could be a lot more important and a lot more relevant to a much wider group of people.
More
And
spiritual?
more spiritual, but not just spiritual, in essence, more factual, just
Okay.
really to inspire people to think more deeply about a lot of other important issues of mental health, depression, addiction, recovery, issues of xenophobia, issues of inequality, whether it's based on sexuality or gender or race, the importance of art and music in public education, what we're teaching children. Um, but one of the most important subjects the film became about is our understanding of fear and how not to let that hold people back in life as it did for me for decades. Because what it's amazing for me to see people when they watch the film that they get it, by the end that all of the issues in the film, even the environmental issues, because that's something that affects all of humanity,
Mhm.
they're all either directly caused by fear or at the very least they are exacerbated by fears.
Mhm.
And so that's really what the film is about, at getting past fear to the point where you can empower yourself to make a difference in your own life and in the lives of people all around you. That's really what the film is about. And the purpose of it is not to preach to someone about those things. I don't want to tell anyone what to think, and I'm part of a problem. But I do want the film to inspire people to think a little bit more openly and deeply, and honestly and lovingly about these subjects. Um, and as I was mentioning before, to be part of the Q&As at the question and answer sessions at the end of the film, where I could see firsthand where the film is actually doing that, where I have people not only at the Q&As, but sometimes like out on the street at, midnight, walking back to a hotel or something, and someone will run up to me because they were at the screening
Oh,
hours earlier. And this could be people of all ages and genders. Grown men could come up to me sometimes in tears,
oh.
and they just want a hug, or they want to give me a hug and express some gratitude for being able to see some of their heroes, for example, or people they look up to, be open and vulnerable about a problem that they've been suffering in silence and shame with. Is That's like an incredible honor. That's like the most important thing to me, is that the film can do that. When I see it, that it's doing that, um, it's like I would do it a million times over again.
So, you've done a lot of film festivals.
Yeah.
Was there something with each film festival that you learned to add into the movie?
Um,
Or maybe a different angle or something? Because I'm sure with each experience, because this is all new to you, you probably learned, "Wow, that's a great idea. I could add that, or I could do this with the marketing, or I could do this with, an interview."
yeah, it's interesting. Humorously, I was gonna say, yeah, I learned I need an assistant. It's been daunting,
Right?
wearing, 400 hats.
With
Um,
one head.
yeah, with one head, because although there's like hundreds of people like involved, when you watch the credits of the film, the credits run a mind-bogglingly 9 minutes long,
Wow.
but they're interesting because it's peppered with clips that didn't make it into the film. So they're really interesting credits. But because the film was produced entirely by volunteers, even if someone worked for one day over a
There
5-year
were
period, that's the only way I could honor them and pay them, is to say I'm going to credit you. So the credits are long, but like I said, they're peppered with a lot of stuff. But
9 minutes of credits.
yeah, but
Sounds like
again,
it sounds like a Marvel movie.
with a slightly smaller budget of $0.
See, did you have a different ending as if you got through the credits, and then there was just a part of the story you had to wait to find out if there was a possible part 2?
Not exactly, but there, like I said, there are video gems and photos that are very interesting. There are like parts of interviews that were important, but didn't really fit into a narrative. And rather than just throw them on the cutting room floor, as they used to say, they're in there. But then when the credits fade to black, there's one more 3-minute little segment that comes on that's like super, super, super special. So I love when people sit and watch the credits, because I know they get to see that gem, and you can just see the smiles
Okay.
and the laughter. Something special I won't give away. But so did I learn at the festivals? Oh, what I could do differently with? No, but not because I'm arrogant and, oh well, I did it perfectly. It's because I learned that those lessons through the years it took of editing the film. So in editing the film, that's when you learned all those things. You'd make changes, you'd watch it just with friends and family, and you would say, and by the way, I do want to give credit to two people in particular. One, this guy Nick Lang, who was my DP, director of photography, for the first year and a half, a volunteer. But then we switched. People's schedules changed, and he couldn't do it anymore. He's an unbelievable video cinematographer. But then my DP became this guy, Ian B. Gibson. Ian was the DP, and he was the colorist, because professionally he was a colorist by trade, and begrudgingly agreed to be my editor. He was like, "I'm not going to be your editor." He would tell me, "Look, when this is edited, and whomever you choose to edit this film, and again, it won't be me, he would say all the time. And I would say, okay. And he would say, I can't be me. I've never edited a film
What
before.
do you want to be, the director?
Yeah. I'm like,
You
dude.
wanted to be the director, right? So you didn't. Is that true?
What?
You wanted to be the director too?
No. He just wanted to be the director of photography. He just wanted to be the DP.
And you wanted me
and the
to do the
colorist.
editing.
And I wanted him to do the editing for a number of reasons. And he would argue, I'm not an editor. I've never edited. And I'm like, bro, you're talking to someone who's never worn any of the hats. If this disqualifies you for being an editor, I better go run into traffic right now, because I'm not qualified to do any of this. And but I knew, because he cared, he was deeply passionate about these issues that I was. He was a lifelong skater, and I had respect for him as a creative filmmaker as well. And so, in any event, as he and I would edit, you had ideas. We're going to put this here, and then we're going to attach, with Bam said this, and Tony Hawk said that, and we'll put those together, and that'll, and then we'd watch it. And sometimes you'd watch it and you'd say, oh my God, that is exactly how I envisioned it. We're geniuses, and then other times you would have the same experience and you'd watch it and you'd say, oh my God, we're absolutely freaking idiots. Like, what were we thinking? I'm cringing. This does not work. And so it was years of that. So by the time we got to film festivals, we were already really happy with how we had honed it. So, but, and then what I did is I would put screeners up, like we did our own test screening. I would put it online, and we had, we were fortunate to have a following of, I think we have like 15,000 followers on social media,
Very good.
Which is not like for celebrity a big number.
It's pretty good though.
But for a nonprofit film that has no budget,
right,
no advertising, and it's not even in the theaters yet or in streaming yet. So we would do a post, and then people would fill out a form and they'd watch it. And I had like this massive questionnaire, from everything. What did you like about this? What did you like about that? What did you, this, that, and, I'd review those, and those would help guide our decisions, because we do want to be true to ourselves.
Right.
But, when you're so close to it, you're just no longer objective. It's important to have someone that has no idea what the film is about and watch it, and to wonder, hey, are they perceiving it as I intended it? And when it's spot on, it feels wonderful. And when it's not, you have to take like a real honest look in the mirror and say, maybe I was wrong about this. Maybe I need to concede something here and change something, because like I used to tell Ian, and he felt the same way, that as much as this is my vision, like my number one priority is making the best possible film it could be, and have it resonate as deeply as possible with the greatest number of people, to be effective in inspiring deeper thinking. And if my original idea for how I was going to do something turns out not to be the most effective way to do that, then my idea has to go in the trash, and I have to adjust, because I'm either loyal to the film or I'm loyal to myself. And it's nice when both of those line up. They often do.
Sure.
But when they don't, your ego has to go in the garbage. That's my philosophy anyway.
It's real. It's real, and you're real.
Yeah.
And you're passionate. That comes across. You're a New Yorker. It doesn't get any more real than that.
Yeah. I'm born in Brooklyn. And aside from those 2 years.
One of my favorite cities, by the way. I love New York.
Yeah. I've lived in New York my whole life, other than 2 years. So I appreciate that.
So how did the protagonists, the very well-known names, how did that happen? And how did they hear about the film? Or did you approach them, or?
Yeah. Especially in the beginning, it was, it was literally just reaching out. It was really hard. As a matter of fact, in the film, just maybe like even 8 or 9 minutes into the film in Act 1, there's a phone call between me and an agent that represented some professional skaters that I reached out to. And it was kind of funny, because they were like, I can't even find anything you've done before, who you are. How am I supposed to recommend my clients? And so, and it's in the film.
So you're an enigma.
Yeah. And by the way, that person ended up actually being in the film, and the clients that they recommended in the end, because I had sent them some footage, and it was very scary to send them raw, uncut, unedited footage, uncolor corrected. The sound was not tweaked yet. It was like, but
Raw.
yeah,
So
they
how do
came
you
in.
attribute your lack of experience in making a film
Yeah,
and attracting names like that to want to be in your film?
yeah. I have two legs up, if you will, if that makes any sense. Two things that worked in my favor. In the film, one of the most famous skaters in the film, a woman by the name of Lizzie Armanto,
Mhm.
who, by the way, will be at the screening on Sunday, so people come down to the pre-party
Nice.
and meet and greet and get an autograph. One of the things Lizzie said in her interview, and the interviews were like most of them were over an hour, some 2 hours. So trying to pull a narrative out of that and use it. But one of the things I used of hers that she said is that she believes that most people inherently are good. They want to do good. They
Mhm.
may not have the tools or the know-how to do so. And so for me, what I did is by creating Humanity Stoked, it became a tool that allowed people to be involved in something that's good, and it appealed to the good nature of people and their hearts. And it's also super cool. I mean, it's a cool with these epic scientists and skaters. It's just freaking cool. And so if you can, I find if you can give someone an opportunity to be part of something that's both good and positive and to make a difference in the world, and it's really super cool, I'm telling you, people are going to sometimes beat a path to your door to get involved in it because people are waiting for an opportunity to feel like they want to make a difference in the world. There's so many good people in the world.
Look,
If you look,
sure.
yes,
Yeah.
exactly. That's the crazy thing. If you just look,
Well,
just
I
open
think
your
if
eyes.
we unplugged from social media a little bit and from the news, and just took people verbatim for what they are.
Yeah,
Uh, Larry, who's you're talking to earlier, who's my partner, has a friend that's really big into piazzas
yeah,
over in Italy,
yeah.
and that area is used for how everybody communicates.
Right.
You want to find out what's going on,
Go down there
go
and
down Piazza.
yeah, yeah.
We have to get back to simplicity. It sounds like you did that with the film.
Yeah.
What's one takeaway from the film that you would like people to know that it's about? Because it's not just about skating.
Yeah, and in fact, I would argue it's not really about skating
Right.
almost at all.
Right.
There's some a little bit of there's skating footage in it, and there's people talk about skating a little bit, but it's maybe 10% of it is about skating.
Right.
Um, what I hope that people will take away from it is a few things, and again, as I was mentioning at the Q&As, I see that that's how people are leaving the theaters with that exact awareness, and that is that that it is possible to come away with a better understanding of fear and how that is affecting our decision making process. Not just about the obvious, who we're going to vote for, what legislation do we want to support or reject, what politicians do we want to empower to guide us and rule us, but in understanding how fear affects our decision making of our own value systems and
Mhm.
our belief systems. As someone else, this very iconic photographer in the film, Michael Muller, says, belief systems about ourselves. And
Yeah.
you can come out of that theater with a better understanding and a greater sense of optimism that you have the ability to make a positive change in your life, even if you don't know exactly how you'll be able to do that, but with the belief that you can, and that is the first step in making positive changes in our lives, not only in our own lives, but in the lives of the people around us and in the world all around us. And when I see people coming out of the theater with a greater sense of that understanding and the hope that comes with it, that's like a million watt smile. Like for me, as not just as a filmmaker, but just as a person that had an idea and then saw how deeply it resonated with so many other creative people that came in and said, I want to be a part of this. I want to help support this. I want to make this a reality, and helped us get from that idea in 2017 to where I'm sitting now before you is an incredible journey and a testament to the fact that there's truth and science to the fact that we are or have a lot more ability than we realize to make a positive difference in our own lives and again in the world all around us. That more than anything else, that's the gold right there.
I appreciate you taking time out of your schedule. We have a film poster over
Oh
there.
yeah, yeah. If you could show the film poster.
Very cool.
Um,
Yeah, it looks really very nice.
Yeah. So I hope if people, by the way, can I just plug how to get tickets to this?
Absolutely. I think
Awesome.
is it at the bottom of the screen?
It is. Yeah. So if you go to humanitystoked.com/tickets, it'll have all the details of the pre-party. There's a huge pre-party with Steve Van Doren from Vans doing barbecue and Wing Lamb from Wahoo's Fish Taco doing food. It's
They'll be there.
the two of them. Steve will actually be on the barbecue, and Wing is going to be serving up the
That is
tacos.
really cool.
And yeah, and there'll be drinks there from I think water's provided by Liquid Death, a cool water company. And
Liquid Death.
Liquid Death, yeah, yeah.
Sounds like they're drinking the ocean water from Coronado.
It is safe and delicious water. But
You two Tony's photos?
oh yeah. But anyway, the pre-party at 2:30. And then the screening starts at 4. It's all right there. If you go to humanitystoked.com/tickets, it has all the details, where to be, what time, and then there'll be a Q&A, and you'll be able to meet, if you have a skateboard or something you want autographed, you can meet Peggy Oki, iconic skater from Z-Boys, Lizzie Armanto, Tony Alva, godfather
they get to meet
bird
you.
skating. Yes, I will be there for those that want to meet me.
Very cool.
Versus Tony or Lizzie or Peggy. I don't, that's quite humbling, but if you do want to meet me, I will indeed be there, and I'll be doing the Q&A with everyone after the film as well.
Wow. Good job.
Thank you,
We
sir.
look forward. I've been hearing about this film for a while. It's been there's the rumblings of people talking about it, so I can't wait to see it. I know my team also wants to see it.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's great to hear. Thank you.
Thank you for taking time.
Yeah, thank you for having me. This has been a pleasure and an opportunity for me to talk about something I care deeply about. So thanks to the listeners as well. I hope to see you and everyone listening Sunday, November 12th.
There you go. Okay, everybody. Let's support Humanity Stoked. And everybody take care, and let's support the Coronado Island Film Festival this week. Everybody take care.